an email has gone out that WB Games Montreal is playtesting a game in January. There's a lot of things it could be. It could be that they're playtesting Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, which wouldn't necessarily make sense because the game's being developed by Rocksteady. But it's possible because they're the same parent company, whatever. But let's assume here, as many are speculating, that this is a separate game. We did know that WB Games Montreal was developing two separate games during the time of Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights obviously was one of the two. This is the second one. So what do we think this game could be, and what do we want it to be?
Superman. I swear to God, bro, I don't give a fuck if it's WB Montreal. Honestly, if WB Montreal decides to do just a single player experience game and they're just focused on like creating a combat system and like a really fun, like just one character, not four characters that have a different play style and you do an RPG, just do one character that has a one open world like the size of Gotham Knights, that has an actual art design and art style and art direction and a good story, and you have Superman right there. I mean, personally, my opinion, you can just do an invasion of Kryptonians, you could do an invasion of Brainiac, have Mongol take fucking Superman off to a different world and have him fight different monsters in World or whatever the fuck that thing is called, War World. Dude, I swear to God, it's so many different things. That's all I got.
So,
all right. So what you're saying is
think...
you're looking for a Harley Quinn game. Am I getting that right? You're looking for
and the boss battles.
I want to ketchup man. I want to ketchup and mustard man, or whatever the fuck that one character is.
Condiment King. Yeah.
Condiment King. I want that guy. Give me a solo king with Condiment King where he shoots Batman in the head with ketchup and mustard.
All right, hold up. No, it's gonna be a Deathstroke game, but he's in a tank the whole time, and it's like World of Tanks.
Bro,
Gotham City Sirens kill the Bat family.
That sounds pretty good. Where you kill Nightwing and you throw like you kill Nightwing in the most brutal fashion ever, and you like Damian Wayne him in Injustice, make him land on a rock.
No, it's way better than that. You use Poison Ivy's pheromones to convince him to just walk off a building, and that's how.
Oh my God, they're gonna kill Catwoman. They're gonna kill Catwoman.
To be honest, it could be the Wonder Woman game. I know a lot of their job posts recently have been support roles for Wonder Woman. So it could be Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. It could be Wonder Woman. I don't have like any solid information on what they're working on. I do have a few people I talk to that have a few more details than I do, generally speaking. I know that Gotham Knights was not loved by the higher ups at Warner Brothers. They were not thrilled with the reception that got. I know that another Arkham game has been on the table for a while.
Nice.
I don't know if that's what this is or if that's even going to happen. I do know, though, that there has been a lot of discussion of doing another Batman Arkham game. It seems unlikely to me that there hasn't been a Superman game in high consideration. David Zaslav himself has even talked about how underutilized Superman as a character has been. James Gunn is really putting a lot of stake into Superman with his reboot of the DC film franchise. So I would not be surprised if Superman was going to potentially be a contender for what they're working on next. I guess it could be a Gotham Knights follow-up where it's a Teen Titans game or something to that effect. But when you have Patrick Redding and Fleur Marty and Jeff Ellenor all leaving Warner Brothers Games Montreal and all kind of, I mean, at least one of them made a tweet thread saying like, yeah, not leaving on the best terms here. Don't really want to go into details, but it was kind of a toxic environment.
Osama Dorius left too.
Yeah. So when you have all these higher ups leaving, it doesn't seem like they're going to do a Gotham Knights 2 or whatever they wanted to do next. So I think for me, I'm going to guess whatever that second game is probably either going to be another Arkham Origins style game or maybe a Batman Beyond game, kind of like that leaked Damian Wayne one from a while ago. Or I could see it being a Superman game. But I don't know. It really could just be another playtest for Suicide Squad.
Here's my thing. It's like, how substantial and how like actually useful is WB Montreal when it comes to like helping out other studios? Because they didn't do anything until Gotham Knights for like 9 years. And when they were making Gotham Knights, like what I'm saying here is that I'm sure they're a big help to other studios, and they probably do add a little bit of support. But why don't they just say fuck that and just put all 500 of the developers into one game and make a giant fucking game instead of like breaking off 2 development teams into 2 different games and then having like 50% of your other studios working on 3 different games with other studios. It just feels a little off sometimes. Like they're all over the place, and it doesn't seem like WB Montreal knows what they really want to be, especially with Gotham Knights too. Because again, it felt like it was going to be an Arkham Knights. It could have been an Arkham Knights sequel, but instead it's like some fucking RPG game that has a very clunky story and clunky combat to follow. So it's like, I don't even know where they could even go that would make them really good besides something big like a solo story game. Like they just need to go back. Like everybody's like saying, oh my God, Arkham Knight Origins is underrated. It's WB Montreal's only game, and the game they decided to go with is like the complete antithesis of what Arkham Origins was. So I don't know.
I think that Gotham Knights is a great example of them trying something different, but trying to almost do everything different. Like they didn't stick to a direction. I was recently, I always hesitate to start a new playthrough of Gotham Knights because they only have one save slot, which is also an odd choice. But
is that true? I didn't know that.
I honestly have not played that game since the year it came out, which was like what, 2022, the end of 2022.
Yeah.
I haven't touched that game since like December of 2022.
The whole pitch of the game is there's 4 playable characters that all do everything differently. But yeah, there's only one save slot. The second you open New Game Plus, you cannot go back to your original save.
So weird.
But I was thinking about it recently, and the only thing that they would have needed to add to that game that I think could have saved it is the Nemesis system from Shadow of Mordor. Like that alone would have been a feature where nothing, like Shadow of Mordor, I don't think, other than the Nemesis system, was like a particularly great game. I didn't think it was anything to write home about, but the Nemesis system was like 24 hours of gameplay that I was invested in before I got bored. And if that had been Gotham Knights, if it had been a game where it was like a rich underworld of Gotham City that you'd had to go and root out, that would have been cool. And I think that that's the stuff that as DC fans we want. We want ambitious games that change the way you play it and, you know, that introduce new mechanics. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. I hope that they've kind of learned from some of the constructive criticism from Gotham Knights. Wish them the best of luck with whatever they do. But I definitely, let me put it this way. I'd be more excited about an Arkham Origins sequel than a Gotham Knights sequel.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I think the problem with Gotham Knights is that there's nothing really interesting. I mean, Gotham Knights as a whole, when you start the game, it's like a 6-minute cutscene, and then you have to stand there for like 2 or 3 more minutes and listen to the sidekicks talk about what happened, and then you choose your sidekick, right? And then like compare that to like Spider-Man 2, where it's like, holy shit, Harry just got put into the tank. That's like 1-minute cutscene. You get Spider-Man 2, and you get Peter in the fucking teacher room with Miles. That's like maybe a 3-minute cutscene, and then you're instantly fighting Sandman. In this, you're like, you have to like walk through a university until you run into random Harley Quinn goons. Like, where the fuck is Joker in this? Like, no offense, but like, you know what I mean? At least like Spider-Man 2 can start the game with something interesting. With this, you instantly start the gameplay by like learning how to like walk around and jump up a wall or like do investigative shit. I understand they're setting up the pace and what the game is, but at the same time, like, holy fuck, even Spider-Man 1, when they first introduced you to this character, you're jumping out the window and doing web swinging shit. With this, it's again, you're by the time Spider-Man 2 is web swinging, you're literally still halfway through Batman's cutscene. So it's like, I think Gotham Knights is a big flop overall.
It was a game that was trying to accommodate everybody in a way. It was trying to accommodate single player, multiplayer, RPG. Many people suspect live service mechanics were planned. And I think that it ended up kind of not appealing to anybody because they didn't stick to anything. Spider-Man 2 is not going to do anything for multiplayer gamers. I'm sorry, it's just not. There's no mechanics in there that are multiplayer. Mm-hmm. But it has a great single player experience. And that's not to say that, I mean, if Spider-Man 2 had been a multiplayer experience, it would have been a very different game. I think it still could have been very, very good, but they would have had to really stick to that. And I think that is what I want to see from Warner Brothers Games Montreal, whether it's a Superman game, whether it's a Flash game, whatever it is. I'd actually be totally fine if they announced a Superman game that was a full-on RPG. And they said it is a single-player RPG. You're going to level up your character. You're going to be able to customize your suit over the course of the game. That'd be cool if they really stuck to it and it was an 80-hour long game that just was an incredible Superman experience. I'm all for that. Yeah. What I wouldn't want is a game where it's like, oh yeah, it's 1 or 2 player. You can play the whole game as Superman or Crypto the Superdog.
Yo, not Crypto the Superdog.
Yeah.
Oh man, Kobe, I need to know.
I'm more of an Ace the Bat Hound kind of guy myself. But
come on, man, Ace the Bat Hound can't fucking fly and shoot lasers out of his eyes. He's just gonna bark at you the whole time. What game do you really want? Because wow, okay, look, I want the Flash game. Honestly, I think a Flash game would work, but what I want from the Flash game is something like Insomniac's vibe, because I think the Flash with Insomniac's like flair would be so fucking good. Like imagine just playing in like almost like a New York type world, but with the Flash and like in their graphics with their type of like style of playing with all of their combat. I think the Flash would work phenomenal for Insomniac. But with WB Montreal, I mean, from what they've shown, it's like they've only succeeded off the backbones of fucking Rocksteady's employees. And when they do their own thing, it doesn't really seem like it's really accomplished anything. So what would you want, Bobby?
So what you just said there is such a great point, and that kind of is my take on it almost, is that I think that WB, and this is going to sound mean, I don't mean to sound mean, but I think WB Games Montreal is best positioned to do games like Batman Arkham Origins, which is to take an existing structure of an already well-made game like Batman Arkham City and then kind of make like a DLC for it. In other words, like WB Games Montreal should make a Batman Arkham Origins or like a Spider-Man Miles Morales, right? Where they kind of like, it's kind of copying the mechanics of a game that already is super well made by a super talented dev like Rocksteady or Insomniac. And then they do kind of like an expansion of it. So doing a game like Spider-Man Miles Morales or Arkham Origins is perfect for them. So I really think that they should do Batman Arkham games. And it's not because I don't want them to make a Flash game. It's because I don't think it will work. A Flash game like Rocksteady and Insomniac are the only two I trust to do that. And after all these leaks, maybe I don't even trust Rocksteady, but like definitely not WB Games Montreal. We saw what WB Games Montreal did with almost a decade of time with their first original creation, and the whole thing, it would have been better if it was just the Arkham free flow combat with it should have just been a follow-up to Arkham Knight with the Arkham free flow combat playing as Batman. Like, did anybody, and I mean anybody, prefer the combat in Gotham Knights as opposed to Arkham free flow combat?
I can't think of one person that would like. I still play Arkham Knight over Gotham Knights, bro. There's no like, I don't know. Again, like even with that game, there is no flow. Like Arkham Knight is free flow, but like I think I said in my review, this game is no flow. There's no flow to this game when you play this stupid ass combat.
And this is my point, is like if they had just made an extension of Arkham Knight, like kind of an expansion pack, or what the equivalent of Spider-Man Miles Morales was to Spider-Man 1, then that's perfect. Boom. Like they're good at doing that. Batgirl, Robin, they already had gameplay. They could have just built upon it and made a new story with it. And that could take them a couple of years, as opposed to them spending 10 years on a game we didn't even like. So that's kind of my controversial and like slightly rude.
That's not even controversial, because it feels like that's what they should have been doing from the get-go, is that Rocksteady should have been always the main developer, almost like Insomniac. And it's kind of hard to like compare Insomniac with a smaller developer that could be doing their work. But it's almost like, you know, Rocksteady should have been doing that, where they have WB Montreal going in, making a bridge in between Arkham Knight and, you know, Suicide Squad, and making that type of gap right there, so they have something there. But instead, it's like Gotham Knights, that's its own thing, and they're trying to like literally make it. They're saying word for word, this isn't Arkham. This is its own thing. So it's like at that point, when you look at that, why are they even existing? Like, why are they even existing? Just to make RPG.
And so Gotham Knights took twice as long to make as any Arkham game and was half as good, right? So why don't they just stay in the lane of making multiple Arkham Origins, like doing that over and over again, and give them
Arkham Origins 2. They could have made Arkham Origins 2 and quite literally like made double what they made of fucking Gotham Knights. I guarantee it.
Absolutely.
I guarantee it.
And they could do, there's a lot of different games they could do as well within that Arkham universe that are still stories to be told that don't necessarily have to include Batman. But now that they did Gotham Knights, like, okay, sure, it's a little bit harder to do a sequel to Arkham Knight now because they already like did that, but it wasn't connected for some reason, and it was like totally different characters. So that's super weird. But for instance, if Rocksteady had made a Superman game here, then WB Games Montreal could have used the same mechanics and made like a Supergirl game, for instance. Like that could be something that works. But right now I don't think they're making anything potentially. They could just be an outsourced dev. But Jake, what do you think?
Yeah. It's interesting. I always see the take on Twitter that the Arkhamverse should just be done. And this was even long before the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game was announced. I've seen people who are just ready for a reinvention of the universe. And honestly, I'd even be okay if they said we're doing a continuity reset with similar mechanics. And they can build upon that exponentially. I would love a Batman game that has a similar level of scope and fidelity to something like, I mean, obviously, this is a impossible dream, but like a GTA or Red Dead Redemption scale. Like imagine a Batman game that has a city that's like 12 times bigger than Arkham Knight, that has a 60-hour long campaign with like 36 side missions, and it's just so expansive.
True.
Like,
and you
I
do
would
like
love that.
50 different Batmobiles and 50 different motorcycles.
You could have the Batwing and the Batboat.
Yeah, and you bring in the Nemesis system that Warner Brothers was so adamant on patenting and then has never used since. But there's so much you could do to increase like what we've already seen with those games, and there's still a lot of story to tell. I mean, do a dual play game or even a multiplayer Arkham game where it's Batman and Robin, and then do one with Jason Todd and Catwoman as playable characters, and then maybe do a Green Arrow game set in Star City where it's still kind of small scale and you can use the free flow combat, but it's a little bit different. I agree that I'd like to see them do kind of Miles Morales sized games where it's just kind of the B project where we get whatever Rocksteady does, and then we get the follow-up from Warner Brothers Games Montreal.
And then we get a guaranteed release every 2 years, like Insomniac gives us. We get a guaranteed release every 2 years because we're not expecting, like Spider-Man Miles Morales, the story was what, 6-7 hours perhaps? Is that right?
It was about 6 hours. Yeah. I think I played it about right before the game came out.
Great. Like hours. I would love a 6-hour Batman and Robin game or a 6-hour Green Arrow game. Like there's nothing wrong with that.
With that being said, I will say though that, and this is kind of just coming to me spur of the moment, I do think that there's also a case to be made as talent comes and goes. And with the very hectic production behind Gotham Knights, I mean, if you saw the leaks where they were making a Damian Wayne game and then they were making a Suicide Squad game for a while and then they were pitching a Superman game, Gotham Knights feels like a Frankenstein of all of those. It feels like a game that takes the Court of Owls, it takes the Bat Bike from the Damian Wayne game, and then it takes the customization and multiple playable characters of Suicide Squad.
No, you're right.
And crams them all into a game to appease shareholders who have invested money into all these mechanics. And then it's a game that was going to have Catwoman and the Architect and Cyborg, and all of those characters got cut. I mean, it's the theatrical cut of Justice League, if we're being honest.
Yeah, it's true.
It's so sad because all they need to do was make Arkham Origins 2 with like the Court of Owls. All they need to do is like basically the Court of Owls, like they were going to do with, Gotham Knights, put it into the Arkham universe right before Arkham Asylum, make Batman fight the Court of Owls with maybe Robin showing up. And I don't know who would have ever been objective to that. They literally tease that. And there's so much that they tease in Arkham Origins that it makes no sense to not make a sequel to that game with Roger Craig Smith coming back and having like a Robin character that you have to like protege, like almost like God of War, like where you have to take this kid and basically like train him, and he's basically teaching you how to become a better hero. Like, oh my God, why didn't they do that type of shit? It just makes so much more sense.
Or you even had Deathstroke, who was everybody loved Deathstroke in Arkham Origins. Do a Suicide Squad game as an Arkham Origins sequel where you're Deathstroke and you're on some mission in Gotham or Metropolis or whatever. That would have been cool.
Bro, but hey, wait. That's the thing too. With the Suicide Squad coming out right now, everybody's trying to convince me about the canonic, like the actual Suicide Squad. Why wasn't Deathstroke in this? He was in Arkham Origins getting invited to the Suicide Squad, and I think he's just going to be DLC. And that's the thing.
Yeah, he'll be DLC, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. They're just going to fucking try to sell him for DLC. Or not sell him. I guess he is free, but you know what I mean. They're trying to sell your time is what they're doing.
Well, and maybe he'll have a great story to come with him. I don't know. I don't want to speak on that too much yet.
That would be cool.
One thing I will say, though, is that as talent has come and gone from Warner Brothers Games Montreal, I do think maybe they deserve another chance at doing something original. I do think that there is a possibility that maybe Warner Brothers Games Montreal says, no, we really want to do a Flash game, and they knock it out of the park. If that's their vision, full force, that could be a thing.